Welcome, Wappum crew. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely, and excuse me, as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, March 13th, Monday, March 14th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live tonight from the Mile High Clubhouse. If you're joining us live right now, you're joining us on Spreaker.com, or you may be even listening from KPNL Radio, which you can find on Facebook, as well as KPNL Radio at kpnl-db.com. If you'd like to listen to us on your free time, we have tons of episodes out there. You can find us on, once again, Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Tumblr, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Deezer, Podcast Addict, and Podcast Chaser. I'm going to ask you a huge favor. Please mosey on over to YouTube. That's a good place to listen to us, as well as Spreaker has commercials. So we do get a little bit of money every month for doing those on Spreaker. And a lot of people don't like commercials. Like me, I hate commercials. But I like to have music breaks. But yeah, if you go over to YouTube, you don't have to deal with the commercials. And I'm sure perhaps on these other apps as well. But yes, go to YouTube. Please subscribe. Please like. And put a little brief comment at the bottom. That way it'll help pick us up in the algorithm of YouTube and get us out there to more listeners. So tonight I have a treat for all my guys and gals out there. Tonight it's story time with me, TessaTNT. Yay! I know. You guys, hold your round of applause. Oh yes, I know. You guys are so excited about this. So last night I had quite the little adventure going on. I was saluting my friends with my middle finger. And my best friend, she always flips me off. But when she does it, it's funny. But yeah, I actually accidentally called the popo. So on my phone, on the front screen, if the phone is not unlocked and you shake it or you press a certain button, it'll give you the option to actually call 911. And I accidentally pushed that button, and all of a sudden this voice comes over my phone. And at first I thought it was a friend of mine, and so I'm talking to this person, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, you called 911. And I was like, what? I was like, no, everything's okay, everything's fine. I just accidentally pressed the wrong button on my home screen. And yeah, so a police officer came by. His name was Officer Yummy. I'm just kidding, that wasn't his name, but he was pretty cute. And of course, just to make sure I hadn't murdered the whole family or whatever else, they had to do a walk through the house. But he was very nice, and I apologized profusely. I'm like, I am so sorry that I wasted your guys' time. That was totally unintentional. And the guy was totally nice and said, hey, don't worry about it, I really had nothing else to do this evening, so you're all good. But yeah, that was weird. That has not ever happened to me before, so that was weird yet exciting at the same time. I'm like, holy shit. Nick, can you believe that? We got Champ in the chat room right now. If you guys would like to hang out in the chat room, feel free to come on over to Spreaker.com under We Are Paradox Media. Make an account or just come in as guest. I believe in order to chat you do have to make an account, which takes a brief moment. It really doesn't take that long at all. But yeah, and another update, Vern is back home. Vern was able to come home this last week, and everything has been going very well. He actually has been walking without his walker or a walking stick or a cane or anything. And walking further and further and further. He actually got released from nurses coming over to check on him, as well as physical therapy. He's about 2 months ahead on that, so that's really good news. And he's just so grateful to be home And he actually made it home before the kids got home from school, and he's like, don't tell him I'm coming home today. And I almost let it slip a couple times, but I kept the secret, and so when the kids came through the door, they were just ecstatic and so super excited that their dad is home. So yeah, that is very, very good news. We still have a long ways to go. We haul cars and do security and other things like that for work, and so he's able to drive automatic vehicles at this point, but still not yet able to drive a standard. So basically, when we go out on these jobs, once we start going out again, I really need to do some training on backing up a trailer. I have not really done that before. Back in the day when I had jet skis and stuff, yes, I would back that into the lake, but that's totally different than a hauling trailer. So maybe do some practicing next door over here at the Mormon church, use their parking lot to practice my backing up procedures. But Vern said it's really not that complicated, and he's pretty sure I could pick it up pretty easy. So hopefully we'll start hauling cars pretty soon, because we need to pay the bills. And I just want to thank all my friends out there. When Vern was gone and when things were looking really bad, and it actually looked like Vern wasn't going to come back. Like, I was talking to one of my friends, which actually our guest last night, Robert Riggy, who came on, I was talking to him about finances as far as, am I going to be able to bury this guy? I know he wants to be buried in the family plot where the rest of his family is buried. His big brother, Steve, and his mom and dad are all buried on this family plot out on the ranch, and that's where he wanted to be buried too. So I was just like, holy shnikes, I don't even know if I can afford this, but luckily he came back from the dead, basically. I mean, it was scary. This guy, I'm holding his hand, and he's just falling apart in my hand, like his skin is coming off, and yeah, it's pretty grotesque. Sorry about that. And he was also looking the shade of gray/white, and he was very, sucked up, and yeah, he looked like he was a goner. And the next time I went in to see him, he actually had color in his face, and he was doing much better. But yeah, so grateful for all the prayers, all the support that everyone has given, because I know without the prayers and positive energy, we might be in a different place right now. But I'm so grateful for all of you guys, and I'm also grateful for the nursing staff over at Mercy Medical Center, and the chaplain. The chaplain actually called me one day, which scared the shit out of me. I'm serious. Like, I see chaplain on the phone, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Usually when the chaplain calls you, it's not good news. And so, of course, I wake up in a start, and I answer the phone, and he was a very nice guy. His name was Joshua, and he was actually saying, well, his room looks pretty grim, there's no pictures, nothing to show that he has family that cares, etc., etc. And I'm like, well, they won't even let me in to go see him. How can I bring things in to put in his room? And he's like, well, you can drop them off at the desk. So during the day, you can drop stuff off at the desk. At night, you drop it off in the ER, which I hate going in there. But I have had to a couple times. So I dropped off a sad-looking hound dog and a picture that was basically like a poster of all of us. But it was a 8x10, I believe. And it had pictures of all of us. At the top, it's us as a family, and then underneath is just individual pictures of the family. And I don't know, I feel like as soon as we did that, things kind of turned around as far as the nursing staff, seeing our faces and knowing he's got a family depending on him, etc. And I'm not saying they don't try generally, but I think it gave them a little bit of a boost, because COVID has been a really hard thing for a lot of people. I've got many friends who have lost their husbands and loved ones to COVID. And yeah, I think it gave them a little bit of boost and a little hope. And I was very grateful, and I said thank you, I don't know how many times to them. Thank you for what you do. And some of them, they have this thing called the Daisy Award. And so I'm thinking about putting a name in there for the Daisy Award for this particular nurse that just went really above and beyond and would sit and spend time talking with Vern, any questions he had or I had, and not act like, oh, can you hurry this up? I really don't have a lot of time, like some of the doctors made me feel. She was very loving, very caring. First time I came in there, she kind of got all up on me. She's like, who are you? I'm like, I'm his wife. Oh, nice to meet you. And, I believe her name was Megan or Maggie. I believe it was Maggie. But she was a very, very nice girl, and she did a really good job. Vern narked on me and said, yeah, Tessa's been sitting here telling me scary stories. And I was like, I only told you one scary story. And I told you the story of how you almost weren't here. And it was true. He only had a 15% survival rate due to being overweight. Every year he gets bronchitis, so I guess lung issues, but being overweight, I guess, is a major one. He's got high blood pressure, etc., etc. So they were giving him a 15% chance of recovery. And ever since he turned around, went from being a grayish-white sheet of nothingness, from leaps and bounds, really, his recovery has been. So it's amazing. It's amazing. And I do put prayers and love out there for all of you that are still going through this and are losing your family members, because it is a very hard and difficult thing to go through. Still not convinced on taking the vaccine. Yes, I got COVID around the 20th of December. Yes, it really sucked. And different doctors say different things. It's just like I compared it to churches. You know, different churches say different things. I guess whichever one you agree with the most, go with that one. But a lot of people say you have antibodies for 3 months. This guy was saying 9 months. But I don't know. I think my antibodies are better than having any antivirus. And this particular doctor he talked to last time, he's like, yeah, you have about 9 months of your antibodies going on since you did get COVID. And I'd take 1 and then 2 doses, but don't take the 3rd one. He's against the 3rd one, or the booster. So that's weird. I don't even know why he says that, but yeah. And other doctors are like, well, this is better than any antivirus I could give you, you know, your antibodies and such. You basically already have the roadmap to COVID. I don't know. It's so confusing, and we're still learning so much about it all the time. But yes, again, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for being there and supporting me and being my friend and allowing me to vent, and salute you with my middle finger and so on and so forth. It's you know, kind of like a term of endearment, but with body language. I love you, motherfucker. Now fuck off. Anywho's, thank you again so much. Like, I cannot even thank you enough. So anywho's, what we are going to be reading from this evening is a book called Hollywood and the Supernatural, and it's written by Sherry Hansen-Steiger and Brad Steiger. I don't know if they're married or brother and sister, but this book actually includes a map with exact locations of Hollywood's supernatural phenomenon. And it's been pretty good so far. I've really enjoyed it. So the chapter that we're on is Hollywood stars who have met the supernatural. I'm not quite sure where we left off last time, but I will start on page 38. So Fred Astaire, the recipient of a special Academy Award in 1949 for his contribution to motion pictures, Astaire, the master of Hollywood musical, appeared in Ghost Story 1981 as one of a group of men being stalked by a vengeful female spirit. Gene Barry in the War of the Worlds. Barry was a scientist attempting to thwart a Martian invasion of Earth. He also starred in The Devil and Miss Sarah in 1971, an offbeat western about a satanic outlaw taking possession of his tormentor's wife. Wow. Ernest Borgnine an Academy Award winner for Best Actor in Marty, 1955, this stocky, compelling actor was the leader of a devil-worshipping coven in The Devil's Reign in 1975. In 1978, he was the ghost of an airline navigator who warns of potential crashes in The Ghost of Flight 401. Raymond Burr, television's masterful attorney in the Perry Mason series, was not quite so smooth in The Bride of Gorilla in 1951. Burr portrayed a scheming murderer who was transformed into a human gorilla by a witch, the mother of a native girl he had betrayed. In the classic Godzilla, 1956, he was an American newsman in Tokyo covering the story of a radioactive, prehistoric monster's devastation of Japan's capital. Burr's scenes were definitely and deftly spliced into the original Japanese footage. Joanne Collins in The Devil Within Her, 1975, the manipulative Alexis of Dynasty, had the role of a nightclub entertainer whose baby had been cursed by an evil dwarf. She fared little better in Empire of the Ants in 1977, when Collins portrayed a real estate broker who, through a transformation machine, became a slave to intelligent, human-sized ants. Bette Davis in Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte, 1965. The dynamic actress turned down some of her wattage in order to play the role of an heiress who is deceived into believing she is seeing ghosts so she can be committed to an insane asylum by unscrupulous relatives. So Nancy Davis, aka Mrs. Ronald Reagan. Man, I had no idea that Nancy Reagan was an actress too. I know Ronald Reagan was an actor, but wow, Miss Nancy Davis. So in Donovan's Brain, 1953, she was the girlfriend of a scientist who falls under the telepathic control of the rich man's brain that he is keeping alive. Kirk Douglas, the star of such motion picture masterpieces as Champion, 1949, Lust for Life, 1956, and Spartacus, 1960, Douglas had his opportunity to face the supernatural in 2 films. In The Chosen, 1978, he played a nuclear power industrialist whose son, actor Simon Ward, turned out to be the Antichrist. Well, go figure. It's pretty scary when you realize your son's the Antichrist. So in The Fury, in 1978, he fathered a young man, actor Andrew Stevens, who developed incredible psychokinetic powers. Clint Eastwood, although he handily and forcefully dealt with thugs and criminals later in his career and his cinematic green years, Eastwood was put up against bizarre monsters that were too large for even Dirty Harry to punch out. In The Revenge of the Creature in 1955, he played a laboratory assistant to John Agar, a scientist who was involved in putting the creature from the Black Lagoon on exhibit at the Florida Aquarium. That same year, Clint was a jet pilot trying to kill a giant tarantula that had been created in a laboratory experiment in Tarantula. Glenn Ford, in The Disappearance of Flight 412, that was created in 1974. Ford, the star of such memorable films as Gilda, 1946, The Big Heat in 1953, and countless classic westerns, was an Air Force officer investigating the abduction of an aircraft by a UFO. Peter Graves. There is something about Graves that simply makes him appear authoritative, maybe even scientifically authoritative. As a scientist in Red Planet Mars in 1952, he established radio contact with Martians. Courageously, Graves attempted to thwart the takeover of Earth by the Venusian creature in It Conquered the World in 1956, and in The Beginning of the End, 1957, he battled aliens in their underground menagerie of huge creatures. George Hamilton, in The Power, 1968, Hamilton played a man gifted with supernatural powers that had been imparted to him at birth by extraterrestrials. he is forced to battle another powerful but evil mind similarly empowered. In Love at First Bite in 1979, he brought back his career from limbo with his portrayal of a comedic vampire. Charlton Heston in 1968, Heston, the heroic star of The Ten Commandments in 1956 and Ben-Hur in 1959, for which he won an Oscar, appeared in Planet of the Apes as an astronaut who arrived in Earth's future to discover that intelligent apes were ruling the planet. He continued his roles as an astronaut displaced by time in Beneath the Planet of the Apes in 1970. In the grimly futuristic The Omega Man in 1971, Heston is the sole human immune to a terrible virus that is decimating Earth's population after the radiation effects of a nuclear war. It's pretty interesting to me how, in these earlier years, how much of the movies out there are very supernatural, paranormal, as well as alien and other things. It's pretty intriguing. Now we're back in another realm where we're hitting those things pretty hard as well. But I don't know, there's just something about old horror flicks and such that you just cannot really compare, even with computer technology and such. You can't really make the same amazing movies as you used to be able to. I'm hearing weird noises. That was weird. I wonder what the hell that was. What the fuck? Sorry, guys. Weird. Okay, so John Houseman in The Fog in 1980. And that's another thing, as far as Hollywood stars who have met the supernatural. I thought this was going to be talking about actual supernatural happenings, but they're talking about supernatural movies, which is cool. Like, now I have a whole list of old flicks that I really want to check out. So John Houseman in The Fog, 1980, the distinguished actor is a fisherman who recounts a tale of ghostly pirates who, cloaked in fog, return for vengeance on a town that had wronged them. In Ghost Story in 1981, Houseman is on the receiving end of ghostly pursuit as a lady spirit seeking revenge stalks a quartet of elderly men. Deborah Kerr, this elegant British actor, the star of such films as King Solomon's Mines, Quo Vadis, and The King and I, oh my god, I love that, in 1956, played a governess to two children possessed by ghosts in The Innocents. The 1961 film adaptation of Henry James's classic The Turn of the Screw. In Eye of the Devil in 1967, Miss Kerr was the wife of a wealthy man, actor David Niven, who had to become a human sacrifice so that his ancestral lands could once again be fertile. I actually watched a show like that recently, and I believe it was on Netflix, but it was actually some sort of, it wasn't a coven, it was some sort of offhand sort of religion or religious sect that kept sacrificing people to make the land fertile, but that actually made the land less fertile and started wildfires and such. But it turns out in the end, all the bad guys get killed or caught, and then, you know, the land goes back to normal and it starts raining. There's no more drought. So we have Miss Cheryl Ladd, under her original name of Cheryl Jean Stopper Moore. She joined Kate Jackson in Satan's School for Girls in 1973. Surely, attendance at such a school was not considered a prerequisite for being one of Charlie's Angels. Michael Landon, before there was Little Joe on television's long-running Western series Bonanza, and long before he was an angel on Highway to Heaven, there was I Was a Teenage Werewolf in 1957. Landon was a troubled high school youth who was transformed into a werewolf by a scientist who was endeavoring to improve the human race. What about Little House on the Prairie? Okay, like, why don't they mention that show? Whatever. Alright, so we have Mr. Roger Moore. Just before he took over the James Bond role from Mr. Sean Connery, Moore starred in The Man Who Haunted Himself in 1970. This was the intriguing role of a man whose doppelganger, spirit double, emerged while he was on an operating table and attempted to displace him in all aspects of his life. Patricia Neal, this actress established a solid reputation in Hollywood when she starred with Gary Cooper in The Fountainhead in 1949. Miss Neal would go on to appear in such memorable films as A Face in the Crowd in 1957 and HUD in 1963, for which she won an Oscar. But in The Day the Earth Stood Still in 1951, she played the mother of a youngster befriended by an alien, actor Michael Rennie, who landed his spaceship near the White House. She also got to say those immortal words to the alien's giant robot, Klaatu Barada Nikto, whatever that means. Jack Nicholson. Oh, Mr. Jackie boy. So the winner of the Best Actor Oscar in 1975 for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, very good movie, I highly recommend it, and again as supporting actor in 1983 for The Terms of Endearment, Nicholson squared off against two masters of the supernatural in The Raven in 1963. With his portrayal of the son of a man transformed into a large raven, Peter Lorre, by a nasty wizard, Boris Karloff. In The Terror, in 1963, he was a Napoleonic officer who encountered a witch, a mad baron, again Karloff, and the vengeful spirit of a young woman. Nicholson walked the thin line of madness in The Shining in 1980, and disappointed no one when he erupted on the screen in demonic axe-wielding fury, goaded to violence by the supernatural forces of a mountain resort. In The Witches of Eastwick in 1987, Jack got promoted from the demonically insane to Satan himself, or at least a horny little devil, that's for sure. Like immediately when I read that Witches of Eastwick, I was thinking about when Cher and everyone was sitting around and eating those cherries and spitting out the pits and stuff, and then all of a sudden he's throwing up all these pits of these cherries. That was so disgusting. Ew, grotesque. Why'd you do that? Leonard Nimoy. Live long and prosper, my friend. It should be noted that Nimoy was playing aliens long before he became Mr. Spock, the Star Trek science officer of the Enterprise. In Satan's Satellites, also known as Zombies of the Stratosphere in 1958, he was an alien soldier who was part of a squadron determined to conquer the Earth. He also had a small part in The Brain Eaters in 1958, wherein alien creatures feast on human gray matter. Well, that's just disgusting. Holy shnikes. Jack Palance. In Torture Garden in 1968, Palance was a devotee of Edgar Allan Poe who sets free the writer's spirit in exchange for the secrets of immortality. Well, you know, if Edgar Allan Poe had the secrets of immortality, then perhaps he would still be alive, don't you think? Hello, Sister Sandra. I have to type really quick to the chat room. It's funny, like when I was talking, things were going by really quickly, and now that I'm reading, it seems like things are moving like slow, cold molasses. Alrighty, so we have Gregory Peck, the winner of the Best Actor Oscar for To Kill a Mockingbird in 1962, turned in an excellent performance as the diplomat who learns that his son was actually the offspring of Satan and a nun, the so-called Antichrist in The Omen. Is that where his son's name is Damien? Or is that a different movie? I don't know. William Shatner. A vicious coven of devil worshippers enslaved Shatner, a decent man, in the Devil's Reign, thus making another hitch as Captain Kirk in Star Trek The Motion Picture, 1979, seem that much more inviting. Well, he's played a lot more things. Now he's on the freaking History Channel. Donald Sutherland, father of Kiefer Sutherland. Oh yeah. So Sutherland pounded a stake into the heart of his beloved bride in Dr. Terror's House of Horrors in 1965 when he learned that she was a vampire. In Invasion of the Body Snatchers in 1978, very good year, must say, he was a man desperately trying to destroy alien pods that grew into human beings, replacing the originals. Robert Vaughn in Starship Invasions 1977, Vaughn, the man from U.N.C.L.E., star Napoleon Solo, portrayed a UFO investigator who is enlisted by benign aliens to stop the conquest of Earth by malevolent extraterrestrials. In Hangar 18 in 1980, though he was the President of the United States attempting to cover up the truth about a crashed UFO. Why those guys gotta do that? I don't get it. So the above list comprises only a representative number of those stars who have appeared in motion pictures with a touch of the supernatural about them, and it is certain that the list will only get longer as Hollywood continues its fascination with movies that have mystical, metaphysical, or otherworldly overtones. Consider the highest-grossing films of the 1980s. 8 of the top 10 deal with ghoulies and ghosties and long-leggedy beasties from other dimensions. One, and this one was one that I very much loved and I had to share with my kids, and I was so in love with E.T. Oh my gosh, I had to have that for my birthday, and we went to the drive-in theater and we watched E.T. on the big screen, and there's a swing set in front of the screen, but as soon as the movie starts you scurry back to the car so you can hear what's going on. Oh my god, I loved E.T. And then we got back home and my mom's like, what was that? Did you hear that noise? It's in the kitchen. And I was like, holy shit. You know, because I had paranormal experiences by then. She's like, go look in the kitchen. I'm like, I don't want to go by myself. She's like, I'll go with you. Let's go look in the kitchen. I heard a noise. She's like, oh my gosh, did you hear that in the cupboard? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? I didn't hear anything. And she's like, look in that cupboard. So she put me up on the counter and I opened the cupboard. And there was my very own stuffed E.T. doll. I wish that I still had him. I think I lost him in one of our moves. We moved from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Well, first we moved from Asylum Springs. That's where my mother was killed right down the road from our house. And then we moved to Fayetteville. My dad bought a very beautiful house on Ralston Street. And then we moved from there to Miami, Florida, because, you know, back in the day, people are in the Coke game, and yeah, he was one of the big names there in Arkansas as far as bringing the Coke. But yeah, so we moved to Miami, Florida, and I believe it was the move from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Miami when I lost my ET, because I don't remember ever seeing him again. And then we lost almost everything in Miami, Florida. So many different things, even the baby doll that my grandma Nova made me. But we retained the pictures. So pictures have been a major important part of my life. But so many videos, because my mom and dad used to make scary horror flicks and stuff. And us kids were involved sometimes. But yeah, we lost so many things in that move back to Arkansas. Really, I don't know, it's just so bad. So bad what drugs can do to your life. But definitely a learning curve for me. But yes, going back to number 1, we have E.T. the Extraterrestrial in 1982. So that was 2 years before my mom passed away. So I believe I was 4 at that time. Yeah, because I was 5, almost 6 when my mom died. So holy shnikes. Number 2, Return of the Jedi in 1983. Number 3, Batman, 1989. Number 4, Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. Number 5, Beverly Hills Cop, Roxanne! You don't have to turn on the red light! That was 1984. The Empire Strikes Back, 1980. Ghostbusters, 1984. Back to the Future, 1985, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, 1989, and number 10 is Tootsie in 1982. Isn't that Man, I briefly remember that. Tootsie, wasn't that like a cross-dresser or something? I remember it being a really tall woman with brunette hair wearing this, oh man, totally 80s outfit. Man. I'm definitely going to have to look that one up. Chapter 2. The Zodiac, Tarot Cards, and Numerology. The stresses of expectancy and hope, the fear of failure, the obsession with writing, directing, or starring in a blockbuster film all make the Hollywood denizens perpetual seekers of reliable means of divining the future. Astrology remains popular among those stars who are convinced that the signs of the zodiac, Aries the ram, Taurus the bull, Gemini the twins, Cancer the crab, Leo the lion, Virgo the virgin, Libra the balance, Scorpio the scorpion, Sagittarius the archer, Capricorn the goat, Aquarius the water bearer, and Pisces the fishes can predict sure pathways to success. As many folks surmised and Hollywood insiders were aware, former President Ronald Reagan and First Lady Nancy Reagan were devotees of sun signs long before their tenure in the White House. Reagan was a client of astrologist Carol Ryder when he was an actor attempting to forecast the best career moves. Oh, Ronnie. Ryder was famous for his sun sign parties for the Hollywood stars. If it was a Leo shindig, live lions were tethered in the yard. Bulls were haltered and led through the midst of the partygoers if it was a Taurus celebration, and so on. In addition to Reagan, Marlene Dietrich, Ronald Colman, Tyrone Power, Susan Hayward, and Robert Cummings were frequent celebrants at Ryder's parties and were faithful clients of his astrological readings. No, I'm just kind of perplexed here. Okay, so I'm trying to see when this book was written and published, because a lot of these things are in the 80s. So here it says copyrighted 1990. So I guess it was published in 1990. So please forgive, what is it, a 32 years now of, some of the other things not in here. So paranormal pathways to success. If astrology is good enough for presidents, ... If Reagan wasn't an astrology freak, why get sworn in at some strange time like 6 minutes after midnight? Astrologist Linda Goodman asked pointedly. In her book My Turn in 1989, Nancy Reagan defended herself against the slings and arrows of her critics by explaining, "Astrology was simply one of the ways I cope with the fear I felt after my husband almost died in the assassination attempt." Astrologist Joan Quigley provided Mrs. Reagan with the president's good days and bad days. The First Lady said that she saw no harm in receiving such advice. While astrology was a factor in determining Ronnie's schedule, it was never the only one, and no political decision was ever made based on it. Growing evidence for the validity of astrology. Skeptics may deride astrology as a psychological crutch for the desperate and the superstitious, but an increasing number of serious scientists are bringing their intellects to bear on the study of the planets and their possible influences upon humankind. French psychologist and statistician Michael Gauquelin, began his investigation of astrology more than 30 years ago. So that would be more than 60 years ago. Repeatedly, Gauquelin was verified the importance of the planetary positions at birth. Most recently, Percy Seymour, a British astronomer and fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society, set forth his theory that astrology is neither mystical nor magical, but is magnetic. Seymour theorizes that we may indeed be affected by the powerful magnetic activity of the sun, which is stirred up by the movements of the planets. sent earthward on solar winds and felt by each of us via the magnetic field as we develop inside our mother's womb. Well, isn't that very nice and creative? Crystals, gems of the New Age. The current vogue prescribes crystals for nearly anything that ails you, including removing the clouds that obscure your future. Sybil Shepherd has crystals especially channeled for her family and closest friends. Other crystal enthusiasts include Stephanie Kramer, George Hamilton, LeVar Burton, Richard Gere, Lisa Bonet, and Bianca Yeager. Rachel Ward depends on her tarot cards. So Rachel Ward swears by her tarot deck. The star, known to millions for her performance in the 1983 television series The Thornbirds, stated that two of the most important events in her life, success in Hollywood and finding her dream man, were predicted by psychics using tarot cards. Rachel freely stated that she had been told of major details in her career, including the fact that her co-star in a motion picture would be Mr. Burt Reynolds. Oh, Burt Reynolds, I miss you so much. Poor guy. Turd Ferguson. I miss Turd Ferguson. It was also in a tarot card reading that she was told that she would soon meet her soulmate, who would be a Cancer. This prediction came true when she met the Australian actor Brian Brown, who starred with her in The Thornbirds. Predictably, the two fell in love and were married. Okay, so, tarot cards. Let me close the book for a second. I'll put this marker right here. So, anywho's, I was turned on to tarot cards when I was 16, almost 17 years old by my friend, Cynthia, and, she told me about astrology. I still don't get it. I still don't get astrology. You know, that's just too much information for me to contain in my little tiny brain. Yes, I am saying right now, my brain is very tiny. Anywho's, let me open this drink too. I'm getting thirsty. I'm getting parched. Must have been that hot officer last night. Hoo-wee, Officer Yummy. Who let you out this evening? You better hurry and run. You better skitter back to your house. But anywho's, as far as tarot cards go, this deck right here, which I had to replace my old deck because it had been through hell, but it's called Navigator's Tarot of the Mystic Sea, and I started doing readings with this deck. Oh yay! Hey Jason, welcome! So I finally started doing readings with this deck. I'm going to say hello Jason in the chat room. When I was about 16 years old. And, hold on. Welcome back, Carter. And I always had really good readings, not just for myself, but for other people. Then I left my psycho, abusive first boyfriend, joined the military. Never would have joined. I don't believe in war. I believe in love, but I do believe you have to have war sometimes. Like right now, America needs to get off their laurels and fucking go in there and help these Ukrainians. Seriously. I'm getting pretty pissed off about that. But yeah, so went into the military, did my boot camp, came back home, did my recruiter's assistance, went back, did combat training. Very first hump we went on in combat training, my jungle boots actually freaking broke my foot, fractured my foot all the way across. All my toe bones in the middle of my foot were fractured. And they couldn't even see it in x-rays and stuff, so they thought I was lying. And then they made me drink this dye once and drink that, and it showed the fractures because it gets into every nook and cranny and crevice. Alright, fast forward. So, I had a wonderful boyfriend named Scott Adams, beautiful, tall man from Maine, actual airline pilot, and man, we never had a fight, not once. We just got along and we were like best friends. Anyways, he went away, and you know, due to my past relationship and him not answering the phone, and he's going out with his brother-in-law, who was a ladies' man, basically cheated on his sister all the time. Don't know why they went out in the first place, but couldn't get a hold of him. So, you know, all my girls are like, oh, if it's too good to be true, it must be, blah, blah, blah. Anywho, so I meet this guy, Private Black. His name is Robert Black, and he said he was from Australia, and his name was Gage Black, and all this other bullshit. You know, my uncle has a kangaroo farm. Instead of cats and dogs going through your yard in the morning in town, we have kangaroos and wallabies and all this other bullshit. But anywho's, I was showing him my tarot cards, and I divvy them out. And I'm seeing what it says, and I'm like, holy shit. I told him what it said. And then I was like, well, this is just an example. But had I looked at that as an actual reading for myself, it told me everything that was going to happen in that relationship. It was insane. Swear to God. Tried to escape him. I actually got discharged, honorable medical, from MRP, which is the Marine Rehabilitation Platoon. I went home to my brother's house in Arkansas, and then guess what? Dumbass Robert Black, aka Gage, from Brisbane, he decides to follow me to Arkansas, and I want to say totally screw up my life, but you know, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have my oldest daughter, who saved my life I don't know how many times. But anywho's, followed me, all kinds of crazy shit happened. I ended up leaving him when I was 6 months pregnant and had my daughter on my own. He decided not to show up for her birth, and raised her till she was almost 2, and that's when I met my current husband, who was always an amazing father. Even though that wasn't his kid, he considered her his kid from the get-go. And man, what an awesome guy. Jason can tell you. Yay, I'm so glad you got the browser to finally work. But yes, those tarot cards told me every fucking little thing that was going to happen in that relationship. The child, the lies, the cheating, all this other shit. It was crazy. Like, I was always leery of him, and didn't really trust him. And one night we were high on coke and having a good time, and I'm cleaning my room, and we're talking, and blah, 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 and all of a sudden, I sweep my hand through this folder, which I swept my hand through so many different times before, never found a thing, and then I found 2 letters. To you from me. And every time we go out for leave on the weekends, we have to sign out. And this chick, Private Butcher, aka Samantha Butcher, whore, she always wrote in really, really tiny writing. And it was funny. I spent some time with them in a hotel before I left back to Arkansas, and we're sitting in this Greyhound bus stop. And all of a sudden, Samantha gets off a bus, and she's like, oh, wow. Hey, what's going on, you guys? Huh. Funny to see you 2 together. So he was cheating on her with me, and then when I left, he cheated on me with her, etc., etc. Total BS. But, you know, everything happens for a reason, whether it's good or bad. But yeah. So I ended up leaving that guy when I was 6 months pregnant. Had the baby on my own. It was me and Kinsey against the world. And, man, we were the best comrades. The best pair ever. Sagittarius and a Scorpio. If you want to do any astrology on that one. What is December? I always want to say Capricorn, but isn't it something else? I'll have to look it up. What is the astrological sign? Oh. What is the astrological sign for December 22nd? It is Capricorn. Okay, so then we bring a Capricorn into the mix there. But yeah. Oh, and he's right on the cusp because it says, is December 22nd a Sagittarius or Capricorn? So, I don't know. Maybe that's why we get along so well. And then at the same time we don't, because you're not a Sagittarius. You're a damn bull-headed Capricorn. Or goat-headed. Whatever you want to say. Whatever. Alright, so let's continue. So, this next one is a woman with a surprising talent for reading palms. That's another memory for me that I will share in a minute. Some stars do very well reading palms. Writer Tom Calhoun remembers a rainy Sunday morning in 1937 when he and another Harvard chum, Casper, met Kate from Bennington at a resort in Connecticut. Because Howard, her date, failed to show up. A moody Kate offered to read palms to pass time. Casper was first, and she wrinkled her nose in distaste. I see something in your future very militaristic, she said in a husky voice. I simply can't stand the military. I see you with power. Be careful how you use it. Tom was told that he would be experiencing a long sea voyage, which certainly proved true since he barely saw land while serving with the U.S. Navy in World War II. His friend Casper's ambitions was to become an attorney like his father, but when Caspar W. Weinberger became Secretary of Defense in 1981, he had to have given Kate credit for the most accurate prophecy. All things considered, Calhoun muses, it was a most interesting way to meet Katharine Hepburn, and he cannot help wondering what she might have told Howard Hughes if he had kept his date with her that rainy weekend in Connecticut. Hermit. Howard was a very interesting figure in history. Very rich man. Very much a hermit. That's probably why he didn't show up then. But yeah, when I was in grade school, me and my friend, who later on, after my dad married her aunt, became my cousin, we decided to set up a fortune teller's tent, and we were doing palm readings, and we also like wrote different things on different papers, and you'd roll a dice, and then we'd pick a different paper out of this thing that we had made and put the papers into, and whatever number you got was the little thing we drew. And I remember one of them was like, your phone bill's going to be very high, and this kid is like, this is bullshit, I don't even know I came to this thing. But it was pretty funny. I was a fortune teller and palm reader when I was in only 5th grade. Can you believe it? I can't. That's pretty funny. But it makes me laugh, like just the interesting things we do as kids, and how we had such a vast imagination and so many fun things going on. All right. Ted Danson has tried everything to woo Lady Luck. So Ted Danson, star of the television series Cheers and the smash films 3 Men and a Baby and Cousins, said he has tried palm readers, astrologers, and psychic sensitives, and he loves them all. Mostly, though, he said he believes in destiny. I don't know much about prophecies, Danson said, but you can certainly observe tendencies and patterns. Ted has been interested in spiritual matters since 1976 when he took a class on EST, the self-motivational group designed by Werner Erhard. All that stuff is great, he stated. It was all part of my growing up, all part of my search. I've always liked Ted Danson, and I loved 3 Men and a Baby. And then I was very intrigued by that film when I heard, whoa, holy shit, what was that? When I heard about the ghost boy in the window. Do you guys remember that? Where they're doing this scene and they're walking by this window, and there was supposedly a ghost boy, some kid that had actually fallen out of that window and died. And so we were doing it, playing it back, and then finally my friend, she had slow motion on her tape player. This is back when we had VHS tapes. And so she's like, yeah, I got slow motion, let's try it out and see. Oh my god, that totally creeped me out. And then later on, people were saying that that wasn't even a real ghost boy, that was a cutout that they put in the window. Seriously? Like, if somebody actually did that, that's the most distasteful thing that you could fucking do. Because a kid falling out of a 7-story window, or however far up it was, and dying is a tragedy, and you should not be making fun of it by saying, hey, check out this ghost boy in the window here at clip number blah blah blah. I don't know, maybe they're just saying that so people wouldn't get freaked out, but I'm pretty sure that was an actual ghost, because who would do a printout and freaking cut out this figure of a boy and put it in the window? I don't know. Wasn't he wearing a white shirt and a red jacket, and he had brown hair and stuff? Put it in the comments, whether you're on YouTube or Spreaker. Do you remember that 3 Men and a Baby when they're walking by that certain window and there's that boy standing in the window. Very creepy. Anywho's, on that note, you guys, we do have to go to our first music break. On this break, we have Miss Mia Savage with her group, Antidote for Savages, which I'm needing a lot of antidote today from my crazy night last night. So she'll be singing Your Skeleton, Singing to Your Grave, Bury Me in Heaven, and Our New Reality. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this musical break.
No matter how I all the shit that he brings anymore. You're mine. You're mine. Tonight. You're mine. You're mine. You're mine.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. That was Miss Mia Savage, Antidote for Savages. You can find her on Pinterest, I believe it is, as well as Facebook, etc. But she's got awesome music. She's coming out with new stuff all the time, and I don't know, just listening to these songs is making me miss my friend Mia. I just messaged her too and let her know that, but seriously, I miss you, Miss Mia Savage. She's such a beautiful soul. I love Bright Lights. Alright. So, we were reading from Hollywood and the Supernatural by Sherry, I almost said Harry, Sherry Hansen-Steiger and Brad Steiger. So yet again, I'm wondering, is this a married couple or is this brother and sister? I don't know. Alright, so now we have Angela Louise Gayo's Galaxy of Stars. So Angela Louise Gayo's star clientele has been building for 40 years, making her one of the most esteemed astrologists in Hollywood. I came out here in 1948 to be a dress designer, the charming woman said, laughing. But I went broke. Thank goodness I had been doing charts for people all along, so when things didn't work out the way I had originally planned them, I began teaching classes in astrology and continued with the charts. Angela has been the editor of an astrology newspaper and has had her own television show on the zodiac for many years. Speaking in a soft voice that still carries occasionally inflections from her native East Coast, she said, "The stars come to see me most often for two basic reasons. Number one, their careers. Number two, their health or their love life." Ed Asner had to know if he would make it in Hollywood. So before Ed Asner had become a success on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, he came to Angela as a starving actor with only one question: will I make it? I was pleased to be able to tell him that he wouldn't have to worry as long as he worked hard, Angela said. A shy Burt Reynolds' main concern was his health. Burt Reynolds is an Aquarius with Gemini rising, Angela said. When I saw him, his main concern was his health. He had just received his doctor's report indicating that he was hypoglycemic. He was very polite and he kept telling me to go on reading his chart. He is very open to astrology. Angela found Reynolds to be shy, not all like his more aggressive movie persona. I outlined his health concerns and told him to be positive. I even said that he would be married in 5 years. Though Angela has never met Lonnie Anderson, Reynolds' wife, she assumes the actress must also be open to such matters as astrology. I did note that he and Sally Field would never marry, Angela said, chuckling. Jonathan Winters does not joke about his investments. Comedian Jonathan Winters, master of mimicry and the star of such films as It's a Mad, 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 Mad World in 1963, was worried about his stock investments. I met Jonathan and his wife Eileen in Jamaica, Angela said. They're both Scorpios and very good for each other. She's had marvelous patience to stay with him. They had me over to dinner, and he expressed how worried he was about his investments. He had just put a lot of money into stocks and into a tax shelter. I made out a chart for him, and it became very clear that he had no reason to worry. Things worked out fine for him. Karen Valentine lost a man and gained a better one. Angela also met actress Karen Valentine while she was visiting in Jamaica. She was with someone and she wanted to know if he would marry her. I told Karen, she's a Gemini with Pisces rising, that she absolutely should not marry the man. I warned her that he was a manic depressive. Concerned, Karen asked, will I ever marry? I told her that she would marry someone else before the year was out. Angela said, and she got married just a few minutes before midnight on New Year's Eve. But it didn't tell us the date, really, when she actually did that. So, well, at least she got married on New Year's Eve. So the stars steered Valerie Bertinelli away from a potential disastrous romance. So Valerie Bertinelli, a Taurus with Scorpio rising, is another member of the show business whom Angela found to be very shy. She had a romance going on behind the scenes, Angela confided. It could have been unfortunate for her, but her chart guided her through it all. Everything came out exactly as her chart dictated that it would. Rosemarie, a performer from many lifetimes past. So Rosemarie, one of the stars of the long-running The Dick Van Dyke Show, was quite skeptical when she first encountered Angela, but now the astrologist declares that she and the multi-talented actress-singer are best friends. Rosemarie is a double Leo, Angela said. She is aware that it is a past life that put her on the stage at a tender age of 3 as baby Rosemary. She is so talented, but she is a typical actress in that she is nervous about her career and is always wanting to know what is going to happen tomorrow. Angela told us that it matters not at all whether she knows her subjects personally or even if she recognizes her famous clientele. I use pure astrology. Some people have said that I must be truly psychic, but to my knowledge, I am simply using the zodiacal signs and charts. Some stars are very frightened when they first come to see me. Maybe they're between shows or contracts. They feel down and out and very, very upset. Barbara Eden tries an anonymous visit. So Barbara Eden came at first anonymously to request a chart from Angela. I sure thought she looked familiar, but she used her maiden name, Huffman. After I got into the chart and was hitting so many things accurately, she interrupted me by laughing and asking me if I didn't recognize her. Here it was Jeannie, the magic genie in I Dream of Jeannie, asking for her chart to be done. Barbara Eden is very pro-astrology. She had had a chart done 20 years before that had outlined all the high points of her career. What the chart had not done, Angela said, was to deal accurately with business matters. Barbara had been taken advantage of a great deal. She had made a great deal of money and had it taken from her by listening to the wrong people and by giving them control. The stars were able to help her get back on course. The stars predicted accurately for Lorne Greene in spite of his skepticism. So Lorne Greene, an Aquarius with Libra rising, was a non-believer in astrology. At the same time, having just come off Bonanza, one of the longest-running series in television history, he was understandably a bit restless being between jobs. Rosemarie had tried to get him to come to me to have his chart done, but he just scoffed at her, Angela said. But one night, when they were both appearing on a talk show, she just pulled out my chart for him and started reading parts of it right on the air. Rosemarie said that, according to my chart, he was currently working on a series that would fail, but his next series would be a success. Lorne Greene snorted that he did not believe it. He was working on a series called Griff, in which he played a detective, and he said that he really liked the idea. He was certain that it would be a success with the viewers. It couldn't flop, he said. He would prove astrology to be bunk. As the stars and the ratings would reveal to Greene, his modern detective series failed, and his next series, Battlestar Galactica, proved to be much more successful. I remember that series. That was a wonderful series, don't you think? And then on Netflix, they came out with a new one. If you haven't seen it, I really implore you to try it. It's a very good series. So John Davidson loses his doubts about astrology. Angela stated that John Davidson, the host of Hollywood Squares, used to be a very vocal skeptic of astrology. He became incensed when I told him that he would get divorced. He said that he had a very happy marriage. Rosemarie reminded him of my astrological predictions at the time of his divorce. Yes. Oh, I have a very happy marriage. Oh, so you think? Anywho's, Cesar Romero finds out that he is not too old for a series. So Cesar Romero, who was television's Joker on the Batman series, as well as the star of films ranging from The Cisco Kid and the Lady in 1939 and The Proud and the Damned in 1972, was another actor who was at first skeptical of astrology's ability to pierce the veil of the future. I kept telling him that he would play in another long-running television series, Angela said, but he would just laugh and say, "Forget it, Angela, I'm in my 70s." Angela recalled how Rosemarie would chide him. "Come on, Cesar, you're a double Aquarius. You have to be open-minded." "Okay," Romero conceded at last, "I will at least keep an open mind toward astrology." Now, after several years of continuing role on Falcon Crest, Cesar Romero finds it much easier to believe in the power of the stars to impel. Whenever he runs into Rosemarie, he always says, "Tell Angela that she was right." Maury Amsterdam combines astrology with prayer and positive thinking. Maury Amsterdam, Rosemarie's sidekick in The Dick Van Dyke Show, is a double Sagittarius who never stops talking, Angela said. Maury is a warm and wonderful person, and so is his wife, Kay. He has a mind that never stops working. It just never quits. He writes for other comedians as well as doing his own routines. Amsterdam is open to all aspects of astrology and psychic phenomena. His son got off the path a few years ago, and Maury had to work hard on him to get him straightened out. He did it, though, with prayer and positive thinking. Maury is a very positive person. Actress Julia Parrish, according to Angela, knows astrology inside out and has the capability of doing her own charts to keep them balanced and in track with her career. Tommy Smothers works with his destiny. Sorry, I need to hit my vape real quick. I'm having a nick fit. And there's a box elder beetle climbing on my pages right now. Tommy Smothers is a good example of someone who is very open and accepting of these things and who has the balance to work with his destiny, Angela said. Dick is also open, but he follows his brother's direction. It is fascinating how their onstage personalities are just reversed from what they are in real life. In 1969, members of Tommy's family had been attending Angela's class in astrology. So in March of that year, it did not take the astrologist long to learn that the Smothers Brothers' controversial television series had been canceled. When Angela was told that Tommy wished to consult with her, she immediately agreed to do a chart for him. "You'll have another series one day," she told him. "Really?" Smothers questioned. "Another one?" "Yes," Angela said, "but it won't be for a good number of years." Tommy sat quietly for a time, contemplating her words and perhaps all the trials and tribulations they had just endured. "That's fine," he said at last. "I won't push it. I'll develop other interests and pursuits." Angela reminded us that it was astrology that helped Tommy Smothers stay strong and not become depressed during the long hiatus from television. He may not have realized that it would take nearly 20 years before the Smothers Brothers would get another chance with a network series, but he went on to obtain roles in commercials and feature films and to develop real estate and vineyards. Very nice, Mr. Smothers, Mr. Tommy Smothers. A sad tale of an aging star who did not take Angela's advice. I'm sorry, I just drank that and it kind of gives me a tinge in my jaws. So it's a new flavored Four Loko, which is, what did Mia call this? Can't think of the word right now. But anywho's, it's called Loco USA. And do you know what it tastes like? It actually tastes like, you know those rock pops? So it's red, white, and blue ice pop. And they have different flavors in each level. This, okay, so it's a malt beer. She can't do malts. She said they're really, really bad for her, and I think it could be the sugar content. But yeah, this malt beverage tastes like a rocket pop, which is red, white, and blue, just like our flag. And it just tastes like somebody melted a red, white, and blue popsicle or 4 into this thing and added a little bit of malt alcohol to it. But holy shnikes. Gives you that little tinge in your jaws. So a sad tale of an aging star who did not take Angela's advice. So, of course, the astrologist was quick to point out not everyone takes her advice. Out of respect for an aging legendary film star who has provided the world with several classic movie roles, we will tell the following story in Angela's voice without using any names. I'm pretty sure I know who this is already. In 1975, I received a telephone call from the star's new girlfriend who invited me to his house. She was an aspiring actress whom I knew well. She had come to see me frequently in 1968 and 1969. When she met the star, he had been told by her manager that she came from a very wealthy family and that she wanted to enter show business through the proper connections. Then she told the star that I had predicted through her chart that she would meet someone famous and marry him. Angela felt very uncomfortable being put in the middle of such an ill-fated romantic affair, but her integrity and ethics required her to point out to the star that his chart clearly revealed that there would be an early divorce should he decide to marry the starlet. I knew that my words would probably fall on deaf ears since he was a Taurus. A bull-headed Taurus, go figure. And so was she. Holy shnikes, they're butting heads. I can just see it now. He more than acknowledged his love for her and told me how much he cared for her. She was, of course, very lovely and many years younger than he, and he was flattered by her apparent love and devotion to him. Angela knew that the star had suffered a number of serious disappointments in matters of the heart, and she did not wish to see him endure another matrimonial shipwreck. They married, and they soon divorced, Angela said, and now he's a bit peeved with astrology or psychic readings, feeling that his ex-wife's chart had guaranteed happiness for both of them. He was told what would happen. I tried to warn him, but you know how people are when they are in love. I guess love is the most powerful being sometimes. Very manipulative. Numbering the stars. It was in the mid-1960s that we first heard of the remarkable woman named Marguerite Hames, who had combined the principles of astrology, numerology, yoga, and Indian Vedas, the ancient wisdom of the Egyptians, and the Jewish Kabbalah into a science of numbers that she termed unitology. That's interesting. The mother of Dick Hames, who had been a popular singer-actor in the 40s and 50s, DeBerry was a lady, 1943, and State Affair, 1945. Marguerite had also enjoyed a career as a singer as well as being a leader in the world of Paris fashion. Marguerite spoke often of her teacher in the esoteric mysteries, a master teacher named Athena, who taught her the principle that each individual is equipped with a different assignment. Each individual assignment has been designed to fulfill a destiny, and each of us is created with equal opportunity to direct his or her own fate. Armed with this philosophy, Marguerite went to Paris to become the first American woman to compete with the French in the world of fashion. Despite warnings from all sides, Marguerite built her maison de cour from a small business into a flourishing million-dollar industry. She became a well-known Paris figure and made the city her home for 12 years. After such success in the world of fashion, however, she felt a pullback into music. Some intuitive knowledge led her straight to Maurice Jacquet, a musical prodigy who had conducted the Opera Comique of Paris at the age of 13. When Jacquet launched her en-concert tour, Marguerite was soon hailed as the foremost interpreter of Debussy and Ravel. Jacquet coached her vocally and spiritually. A high priest of the European order of Rosicrucians and mystic, he taught Marguerite the spiritual interpretation of numbers and their mathematical accuracy in relation to music and its interpretation in any form. It was through this man that she began to realize the great necessity for the coordination of mind, body, and spirit. When she eventually returned to America, Marguerite began to teach modern singing and was soon known as a star maker with graduates in every facet of the entertainment field. This section of her life path lasted for more than 20 years. I loved it, she said. Being privileged to guide youth through music is a sheer joy. I grew and learned through my students while still doing research in the occult sciences. It was during this phase of her life that Marguerite was led to her last earthly teacher, Paramahansa Yogananda, a master of Eastern and Western philosophy. It was from this master teacher that she learned all that she was supposed to know before she passed on. According to Marguerite, the great yogi's life path number was 9, and thus his destiny was brotherhood of man. Numbers, she insisted, can assist one in tapping the power within in planning a successful life, and she set down the principles and mechanics by which she and her students were able to govern their lives. All that humans are capable of experiencing, Marguerite stated, can be reduced to the digits 1 through 9. These single numbers are derived from the simplification of all combinations of numbers to their basic essence. This essence then vibrates through the single digit. Beyond the cycle of 9, however, are 2 master numbers, 11 and 22, which are never reduced to single digits. A personal chart and unitology will include 4 major numbers: a life path number, the day number, the expression number, and the soul urge number. The first and most important, the life path number, is derived from one's birth date. It is one's destiny, which cannot be changed but can be directed. From this number is determined one's potential, hidden attributes, talents, and desires. According to Marguerite, the life path number symbolizes one's personal rate of vibration, one's frequency, and one's specific assignment in life. While the life path and day numbers are derived from one's birth date, the expression and soul urge numbers are formulated from one's name. According to the precepts of unitology, one's name is very important, as it is concerned with sound, a direct manifestation of vibration. Therefore, since each letter of every alphabet has its distinctive sound, it follows that each letter has its own distinctive number. Using the 1 to 9 cycle, it is imperative to establish the essence of the number. The soul urge number is found by totaling the number of vowels in one's name. By combining all the many metaphysical disciplines mentioned earlier, Marguerite arrived at a particular numerical value for each letter of the alphabet. The letters, translated into numbers, are totaled and simplified into single digits. For example, Shirley MacLaine was born Shirley MacLaine Beatty on April 24, 1934. According to Marguerite's Unitology, Shirley's given name breaks down to a 9. As a 9 personality, she, like Paramahansa Yogananda, lives in the vibration of the brotherhood of man, a difficult path as it requires complete humanitarianism. Those under this vibration must be prepared to give up all personal desire and ambition. They find their greatest opportunity with emotional, artistic people, as 9 is the highest vibration of the artist. Number 9 operates under the law of fulfillment, and its appeal is to the all-inclusive, to the many. Shirley MacLaine's soul urge number is 7, optimized by wisdom. 7 is a cosmic number related to the 7 planets, 7 days of the week, 7 colors, 7 notes on the musical scale, and so on. Opportunities are brought to her as a 7 person without her actively seeking them. 7 is also the number of the mental analyst. Those under this vibration seek answers, and they use their mental abilities to probe the deep mysteries and the hidden truth of the universe. They are unconcerned with material goods, for they know by applying spiritual laws they will prosper. With her soul urge vibration, a 7, Shirley understands that a high-energy personality such as she needs to have time to rest and study. The entertainer's day number is 6, which in the principles of unitology signifies that she is capable of devotional and personal love towards others. As a 6, Shirley is able to serve cheerfully and efficiently, applying the law of balance in order to adjust the inharmonious conditions. Tough guy Charles Bronson might surprise you. His birth name is Charles Buchinski, gives him a life expression of 11, a master number, which places him on a high vibrational plane. As a youth, it is likely that he received his ideals on an intuitive level. By changing his name to Bronson, he became a 1, thereby increasing his personal emphasis on individuality. His life path number, November 3, 1922, is a 2, providing him with the ability that is so necessary to one's becoming an effective actor. So how does that work? Bronson's soul urge number is a 5, letting us know that his inner self yearns for freedom and the quest for the new and progressive. Combine all of the 3 above with his day number of 3, self-expression, and we see a pattern profile of adaptability, creativity, and intuition that blends into a sensitive man who just happens to be effective playing action roles. William Shatpants, excuse me, that's William Shatner, Captain Kirk of Star Trek fame, also has the master number 11 as his life expression number. According to the numbers, Shatner has it as his destiny to reveal something new and uplifting to the world, thus qualifying him to play roles that have him soaring to cosmic dimensions. His life expression number is that of the messenger. Shatner's day number of 4, March 22, 1931, intensifies his leadership qualities. His life path number of 3, that of self-expression, tells us that he will only be contented when he is seeking fulfillment through his craft of communication. His soul urge number 8 gives him the inner power to take an opportunity to demonstrate his efficiency and his executive abilities. When we examine Larry Hagman's numerical scan, September 21st, 1931, we can readily see that he is not really as mean and conniving as the tricky J.R. Ewing, whom he has been playing on Dallas since both Hagman's day and soul urge numbers total 3, the digit of self-expression. We know that he is an artistic sort who enjoys being friendly and sociable. Hagman's life expression number is a 1, the numeral of the individual who is always prepared to stand on his own 2 feet. He has learned, however, to cooperate with others without losing his individuality. His life path number is an 8, the number of material freedom, the digit of those who love power and success. Raquel Welch, September 5th, 1942, is one whose life path and soul urge numbers each break down to a 1. Interestingly, both her professional name, Welch, and her birth name, Tejada, are reduced to the number 1. Raquel, in both her life expression and her soul urge, is revealed to be a person who has a great desire to direct her mind, body, and spirit to the utmost efficiency. She is one who must always be independent and be continually seeking to improve herself. Her day number is 5, which emphasizes her need for freedom, her desire to travel widely, and her striving to be always adaptable. Raquel's life path number is 3, which underlines her need to be a communicator, functioning best in an artistic environment. We must obey the laws coming from above us, but on our own plane we must govern and give the orders. Marguerite Hames once said, "In so doing we form a part of the world, a part of the whole, the oneness. Once we know this teaching, we fall in with the law and operate it, instead of being used by it. Everything is accomplished by the power of the mind. We are truly magnetic when we are on our own vibration mental wavelength. When this is understood, it is easy to see how so-called miracles are performed." Could you imagine? It's so delightful. Tuning in on the future through ESP. Alan Vaughan, one of the most tested and researched physicists of our time, is himself an investigator of the paranormal. Since he lives in the Hollywood area, it seems obvious that his precognitive abilities have assured him that California is not going to sink into the ocean. "I have no such fears of my house falling into the ocean," he said. "In fact, it was because of several dreams that I was told to move here. As far as earthquakes go, however, I have received psychic impressions that Southern California will have a big one in 1999. Vaughn's business card proclaims that he performs intuitive consultations for clients who wish to utilize his abilities to peek into the future. He also channels a Chinese entity named Li Song, who provides insights into creative and spiritual gifts. Although Alan said that the professional ethics preventing him from giving us the stars' names, he told us of an actor who had once enjoyed considerable cinematic success, but whose career was on the wane when she came to see him. I told her that she should switch to television," Alan said, "and boy, did I get a lecture about what a big film star she was and how it would be the death for motion picture actresses to accept steady television work. I tried to tell her that millions and millions of people would see her in a single evening and that her career films might be revived. My consultation seemed to have little effect on her attitude, however, and she left in a bit of a huff. Some time later," Alan said, "I saw her on Larry King's interview program. She was telling him that she would soon be appearing in a television series, that she would be able to be seen by millions and millions of people in one evening, far more than she would be reaching in her motion pictures." Good news for Terry Moore. So when Alan Vaughan first met Terry Moore, who starred in Come Back Little Sheba in 1952 and Peyton Place in 1957, the actress was greatly concerned with her efforts to get to Howard Hughes' family to recognize the legality of her marriage to the eccentric millionaire. "When she walked up to me at a party at the home of Dick and Tara Sufing, I saw neon lights all around her," Ellen said. "Then I got the number 7 flashing on and off. I told Terry that in 7 years she would be recognized by the Hughes estate and receive a financial settlement. I also said that in 7 years she would be writing a book and be back in show business. As you know, each of those things have come to pass in her life within the 7-year period." Vaughan believes that everyone may obtain his or her own previews of the future Lee Sung has told me that more and more people are going to learn to channel so that they might become more perceptive to the inner voice within them. The spirit world has a master plan for the increased higher consciousness that will spread around the globe. Hollywood is going to play a major part in communicating the higher truths to people throughout the world. Doc Anderson found oil wells with his bleeding palms. In the late 60s and early 70s, a psychic named Doc Anderson was assisting a number of Texan oilmen and Hollywood stars to find oil by his bleeding palms. The Georgia native would walk around oil fields until he would have a vision of giant pools of black gold. Then his hands would be covered with blood, and the investors would know that Doc had found another place to drill. George Raft, the star of such films as Scarface and Nob Hill in 1945, together with screen-heavy Mike Mazurki and character actor Denver Pyle, was among the Hollywood set that joined the oilmen in drilling where the psychic dripped his telltale blood. So Doc Anderson died a few years ago when a flash flood claimed his life. Although he had announced his vision of a very hard earthquake striking California, he did not foresee the entire state sinking into the ocean. There are volcanic forces building up off the coast of California beneath the sea, he said. The start of volcanic activity not too far out at sea is the signal that there will be a subterranean disturbances that will cause an earthquake along the fault line in California. That is so fucking creepy. Not only was it an earthquake, but it was like that portion of the earth falling into the ocean and he drowned because he couldn't escape. That is crazy. Holy shit. Like, those houses are nice and they have a nice view and stuff, but wow. Alrighty then. So Dr. Montgomery believes the future can be changed. Dr. Ernesto Montgomery moved to Los Angeles in 1961 and organized the Universal Metaphysical Church. Born on the island of Jamaica, Montgomery served in a secret British intelligence agency during the World War II. Later, when he visited Dallas, Texas in 1957, he predicted the death of the U.S. president in that city. In October of 1957, I informed Jess Curry, who was then the chief of police of the Dallas Police Department, that within a short span of years, there would be a U.S. president murdered in that city, Montgomery said. A photograph was taken and published that shows me pointing out the site to Dallas police officials. It was at Dealey Plaza where President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. Montgomery was provided psychic counsel for Winston Churchill, Princess Margaret, police departments around the world, and numerous Hollywood stars and celebrities. My psychic impressions come to me in two forms. The first form is a vision when I go to sleep. Once I am in slumber, a revelation will be revealed to me. This method is accurate in a statistical basis approximately 90% of the time. The other method I use is called psychic insight. That is, I place myself into what is known as a trance state. I am hypnotized into deep and conscious concentration by focusing upon a particular problem. Consequently, I am able to predict with an accuracy that has been perhaps 99% effective in the past. Can the future be changed? That is an interesting question. I believe that the future can definitely be changed by an individual being warned of an impending tragedy by changing and being changed by an individual being warned of a destination or a destined thing to occur. If the individual can be warned, as I tried to warn the victims of the Sharon Tate murders, see Chapter 5, Unholy Nights, The Dark Side of the Force, then they can take appropriate steps to prevent the occurrence. Now, a phenomenon like an earthquake or any other disaster is very difficult to change because there is no individual free will involved. All that can be done by a psychic receiving the impression is to give the warning. So far as I am concerned, I do not have any power to change what God, who has given me this gift, tells me. I do believe seriously that humankind cannot drastically change destiny. What we have is the power to change what may happen to each of us as individuals. Alright, so I'm going to leave it there because we're going to continue on with Olaf Johnson creates a special surprise for Glenford. So, my friends, here we are at our second music break. Here we have Miss Mia Savage with her band Antidote for Savages. And she's going to be singing The Bottom Line, Let Me Be Your Home, as well as Lumerian Crypto. You guys don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this music break.
right now between fear and love.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us this evening on We Are Paradox Media's A Late Night in the Rockies This evening you are joined by me, TessaTNT. I'm your wonderful host, and I'm reading to you. But on my break, I saw this message that my sister Jazz sent to me, and oh my goodness, I was laughing so hard. So, she sent me this little clip on Facebook Messenger. Oh my goodness, it totally hits home, I have to tell you. Okay, so this reminds me of last year and then what I've been going through with COVID this year, but oh, my nerves.
My nerves is gone, that's the truth. The youngsters, you got me drove. God, give me the strength to get through the next couple of weeks of the online schooling, because this don't seem to be working. It is good, though. It helps. I mean, Christmas was bad enough when they got out of school a few days earlier. But they spent their time outdoors, see? I mean, my crowd, they don't mind being outdoors. Rain, snow, sleet, -10. They're used to being outdoors. Hell, 3 of them was even born outdoors. And when the pond froze over, well, that's where they spent their Christmas, skating on the pond.
Aye.
Sure, they skated that much, they shaved 3 inches off the ice. And only one trip to emergency, Sarah got a hockey puck right in the face. Well, it wasn't an actual hockey puck. It was a frozen hamburger patty. But it still broke off 2 of her front teeth. What a sin, what a sin.
What a sin.
All the money I spent on her teeth. No one knows the baby duck wine I drank to get enough water to make her braces. And then Billy, for the 2nd time in his life, he got beaver fever from drinking out of the pond. Luckily, I recognized the signs early. 4 legs chewed off the kitchen table and a clogged toilet. Anyway, other than that, Christmas was really good. But this online schooling, I'm fed up to here. I'm drove. Oh, my nerves is gone. That's the truth. They're gone. 16 Chromebooks. I could boil Kraft dinner on the wireless router.
Right.
That much heat, look, coming from the Chromebooks. The dog is after shedding his winter's coat. And I got to be watching the youngsters like a hawk. Billy's on the casino site. Sarah's on TikTok. The teacher asked me if I could keep the baby down. I'm like, okay. So I had to sit and breastfeed. When is it all going to end, boys? When is it all going to end? Me nerves, I can't take it. I looks out the window, and I don't know if it's fog that's coming in around the point or new variants. Me nerves, like, get the youngsters out from under me feet and back to school where they belongs. Leave the internet for gossip and porn like it was intended. Me nerves.
Definitely me nerves. No, it's funny how things happen sometimes, you know. You have this point of control, and then all of a sudden daddy's back home, so you let go of the reins. Things go askew. You accidentally drunk dial 911. You meet this really hot officer. What's going on there? Eh? Well, that was a story for another time, I suppose. Oh my gosh. Why me nerves? I'm so glad I'm not doing homeschool anymore. Now it's just real school where the kids go to the petri dish and they're sick all the time. Ay, me nerves. Alright, so let's continue with our book, Hollywood and the Supernatural, by Miss Sherry Hansen-Steiger and Mr. Brad Steiger. So this chapter is the Zodiac, Tarot Cards, and Numerology. And this next portion is called Olaf Johnson Creates a Special Surprise for Glenn Ford. So in February 1971, the International News Services carried an account of an electrifying ESP experiment, a telepathic communication through space between Apollo 14's astronaut Edgar D. Mitchell on the moon and the psychic engineer Olaf Johnson on Earth. Although Johnson may have been largely unknown to the world at large before this dramatic entrance into public consciousness, he had been a psychic celebrity for years. Both in his native Sweden and in parapsychology laboratories throughout the United States, Johnson was famous for his ability to guess correctly 25 out of 25 ESP cards, to levitate objects, to solve crimes clairvoyantly, and to predict the future. Film star Glenn Ford from The Blackboard Jungle, 1955, and The Courtship of Eddie's Father in 1963 is among those who have witnessed Johnson's score of 100%, and Johnson, along with writer-educator James Hurley and his wife, met with Ford in April 1964 to discuss the actor's interest in starring in a film biography of Johnson's incredible psychic career. Well then, let's see. According to Hurley, even before... Hold on, I gotta put some ointment on my lips. It's getting a bit parched. So even before they met Ford, Johnson had vividly described some of the more subtle details of the actor's home to Hal Clifton, Ford's personal secretary. The psychic sensitive had accurately foreseen the oils portraying bullfighting scenes, the layout of various rooms, and even the red cushioned stools in front of the bar designed by Ford. Hurley dismissed Johnson's clairvoyant images of little doll dressed in a cape standing on the bar until they arrived at Ford's home and Hurley saw a figure for himself, a memento from the crew of Ford's movie The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse in 1961. Clifton and Ford's mother were also present. As the evening progressed, Hurley said Olaf's faculties became more acute due to either refined beauty of the house or the comradeship of strangers who had quickly become friends. An avid souvenir collector, Ford showed the psychic a number of objects that he had obtained while making films in other countries, from which Johnson picked up impressions with great accuracy. He also correctly identified Mrs. Ford's morbid fear of fire. With her permission, he revealed to the others that when she was close to delivering Lynn, a house fire almost took her life, though she had escaped unharmed. Capping the evening's demonstration, Olaf called 25 out of 25 ESP cards correctly, having never touched the deck, as he remained out of the room until Ford, who controlled the experiment, asked him to enter. The next night, Olaf and his friends were invited to have dinner with Ford, only to discover themselves included in a surprise birthday party for the actor. Perhaps as a gift, Olaf demonstrated psychokinesis, mind over matter, for Ford. While standing by the pool, he moved a glass by mental effort alone. Bravo, my friend. Very nice. A private demonstration for Maury Amsterdam. Maury Amsterdam, an astute businessman as well as a bright and witty comedian, became so excited and enthusiastic after witnessing an Olaf Johnson display of psychic abilities that he, too, began to talk about a possible film treatment of the Swedish sensitive's life story. One night at Amsterdam's suite in Chicago's Palmer House, Maury, his wife, a prominent Chicago industrialist, his wife and daughter, and a young singer starring at the Playboy Club, asked Olaf to give them a private demonstration of his talents. Although Johnson had never met any of these assembled in the suite before that evening, he told all of them past, present, and future details of their lives. He spoke of the singer's fall from a horse some time before and of the injury that she had suffered. He gave the industrialist the details of a secret businessman and a business venture that he had masterminded that very day. He also warned the man about an injury that would and did take place. One thing that seems certain about true precognition, whether it comes about through a dream, a vision, or a prophet's prediction, the percipient does not see possibilities but actualities. In view of this, some psychical researchers maintain that the age-old query, "Can the future be changed?" has no meaning. The foreknowledge of the future, of which some level of the subconscious is aware, and which it sometimes flashes a dramatic scene to the conscious in a dream or a trance, is founded in the knowledge of how the individual will use his freedom of choice. The future event conditions in subconscious self. The level of subconscious that knows the future does not condition the future event. The transcendent element of self that knows what will be blends all time into what is now and what will always be. For the conscious self, what is now the past was once the future. We do not look upon past events and feel that we acted without freedom of will. Why then should we look at the future and feel that those events are predetermined? That a subconscious level in the psyche may know the future, these psychical researchers insist, does not mean that the conscious self has no freedom of choice. Simply stated, if the future could be changed, it would not be the future. In a true precognitive experience, when one perceives the future, he or she has glimpsed what will be and what, for a level of subconscious, already exists. Therefore, most readings of the future are really picking up on the possible choices that one has by which to attain a desired goal. And for someone riding the fast-moving Hollywood merry-go-round of success, he or she seeks all the advice that is obtainable and determining which choices are the better ones. No matter what your cards say or what somebody tells you the future holds, there are different paths that you can choose. You can change the future, seriously. I've seen it done. I've done it myself. Anthony Quinn's personal fortune teller. When Anthony Quinn, award-winning star of both Viva Zapata in 1952 and Lust for Life in 1956, met Iolanda Adolori, he had been told that she was an accomplished costume designer. He could see for himself that she was a lovely blonde with brown eyes and an attractive figure. It took him a little longer to realize that he had fallen in love with a seamstress and a seeress. Iolanda had had her natural psychic abilities developed by her father, Ferruccio Adolori. No member of his family would dream of taking a trip or beginning any important venture without first consulting Papa and having him spread his battered deck of cards. With the blessing of her father and his cards, Iolanda had gone to Rome to study costume design. But first he had taught her how to read cards for herself. Then, on the night of April 7th, 1960, at 7 p.m., she received a call from her family in Venice that Papa was dying of a heart attack. She tried immediately to board a train for home, but none were leaving Rome that night. As the youngest child, and perhaps the closest to her father, Iolanda returned to her little room, sick with concern. As an attempt to receive some solace, she began to lay out cards. At every turn they spelled death. Terribly distraught, she went to bed and finally managed to fall asleep. At 2 a.m., she was awakened by the sound of her father's voice calling her. With a chilling sense of dread, she phoned her family in Venice, knowing that they would only confirm her psychic message from her father. Indeed, she learned that Ferruccio Adolori had died at the exact moment she had heard him calling her name. Excuse me. Her legacy was a worn deck of cards. Iolanda inherited her father's battered and worn deck of fortune-telling cards, and they soon predicted that she would be meeting many important people, that she would receive a great deal of notoriety, and that her marriage would be reported in all newspapers. A year later, in 1961, she met Anthony Quinn. The dynamic actor was legally separated from his wife and was very lonely on location in Italy, where he was filming Barabbas, which was filmed in 1962. Iolanda was assigned to the picture as costume designer. Although she tried to keep their relationship on a professional basis, it was not long before Quinn had begun to weave a spell of his own, and she fell in love with him. She bore 2 out-of-wedlock children to Quinn before his divorce was finalized.
Mom.
Hello, son. Okay, quit whispering so people can hear
I
you.
got on the Han Solo account,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in E100. There were 2 low health tanks, and it killed one, and the bullet ricocheted off of one and killed the other.
Uh-oh.
It was actually good.
Good job.
Yeah,
High
I
five,
got
son.
2 kills. I was at 3 kills before. I just wanted to get one hit, like one
But it
kill,
ricocheted and hit the other
okay.
one. Very nice.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
Well then. Good job, son.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I must continue my show. So thank you for sharing your tank escapades. Oh, hug and kiss from your sonny Jim. I love you, son. It's okay. It was just my vape oil. Hey, leave my tweezers alone. Get. Shoo.
You're a shoe.
You're a shoe.
You're what I wear.
You're what I wear. Or what I used to wear. So although she tried to keep their relationship on a professional basis, it was not long before Quinn had begun to weave a spell of his own, and she fell in love with him. She bore 2 out-of-wedlock children to Quinn before his divorce was finalized. True to the prediction of the cards, the scandal wagged tongues on the continent, and the wagging did not cease until Iolanda and Anthony Quinn were happily joined in marriage. Quinn, a man with a reputation for being a bit too kind and generous, learned to heed Iolanda's readings of the cards to warn him about those seeming friends who had ulterior motives behind their smiles. She did not enjoy hurting her husband's feelings by revealing the schemes that certain of his trusted colleagues were hatching behind his back, but Iolanda felt such painful disclosures to be preferable to Quinn's truly being burnt by their chicanery. Yes, a seamstress story, Sandra. Sandra is also a seamstress. She's worked on major films, including, I believe, wasn't it Pretty Woman, where you made that suit for a very particular handsome guy? So predicting a film's box office potential. So the seamstress, also card reader. So Iolanda also possessed the ability to predict unfailingly the success potential of the films on which Quinn worked. In this area of her precognitive prowess, the actor always insisted that she keep her impressions to herself. He felt that if he was told in advance that a film would be bad, he would have difficulty keeping his morale up and turning in a good performance. Iolanda could not restrain herself from predicting the great success of Zorba the Greek, however. From the moment she saw the rough cut, she knew the film would become one of her husband's most popular achievements. Quinn was pleased with his work in the picture, but he wondered how it would stack up against his recent success in The Guns of Navarone in 1961 and Lawrence of Arabia in 1962. I've seen that one. They had been action-adventure roles, the kind which audiences seemed to like him the best. Zorba was quite different from his familiar roles as the gunfighter, the fistfighter, and the soldier of fortune. Iolanda was firm in her interpretation of the cards. Zorba would be an international success. In her heart, she knew Anthony deserved another Oscar for his efforts, but something inside advised her that he would not receive the Best Actor award for 1964. On the night of the Academy Awards, she tried to keep encouraging Tony that he would win the coveted award the 3rd time, but he saw through her facade. The award went to Rex Harrison for My Fair Lady. A gift with mixed blessings. Yes, Shall We Dance? That was it. I thought it was Pretty One, but yeah, Shall We Dance? Still yet another good one. Okay, so, sorry, I just took a drink of this Loco USA drink, and holy shnikes, it always gets my tinges up into a tendril. But yes, my Uncle Clayton just actually recently sent me some pictures. So he's like, Tessa, guess what? we were going through our storage unit and we found 2 books. One was of the Johnson family, and the other was from your mom and dad right after they were married. And it showed me up to like 2 years old, I think. Yeah, I was 2 years old. And the last pictures I saw, oh my goodness. But that was awesome getting those. What a gift. I was so excited. And then I got it and I thought, because there was no name, just an address, I thought it was the book that my friend Ron was sending me from his most recent book that he wrote. And he's going to do a book signing at Maria's and send me this book afterwards. But he's like, hey, it's taken a while, so I just sent this. And he sent me that the same day I got this book, or these books, from my uncle. And oh my goodness, it was amazing. Just looking through these old things, and there's people in there that I'm like, who the fuck is Angie? Or who is this? And some of the pictures in there, I don't know if it was my Uncle Dave Thomas's wedding, or if it was the wedding of his first daughter, Wendy, aka Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn is her first name, but he named the restaurant Wendy after her. Wendy for short, Gwendolyn for long. And yeah, so now I have more pictures of my Uncle Dave Thomas, and people don't believe me that my uncle is Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's. Seriously, there's higher things that I could say, or other people I could pick to be my uncle. How about Mr. Don Johnson? Oh yeah. But yeah, I have pictures of my Uncle Dave Thomas, and he's either giving away my cousin Gwendolyn at her marriage, or he's getting married. But I'm feeling like it's his daughter in the pictures, before she ate too much Wendy's. If I could, I'd eat a spicy Asiago chicken sandwich every freaking day. It's so delicious. Anyways, let's get back to the book. So, a gift with mixed blessings. Like so many psychic sensitives, Iolanda had complained at times that she wished she did not have the abilities she possesses. Just as quickly, though, she has strongly declared the gift does have its blessings. At one desperate point in their marriage, Lorenzo, their youngest child, lay in a hospital bed dying of an infection of unknown origin. In this dark hour, Iolanda went again to her trusty cards. Putting all her faith in their ability to reveal the truth about her son, she laid them out. As card after card overturned, she read with joy that they were undeniably revealing life for the young Lorenzo. Both of the Quinns took strength from the verdict of the cards. In time, the baby of their family was restored, alive and healthy, to his parents' arms. That is so beautiful. I love that. Saving Quinn from unnecessary throat surgery. So at another time, the cards prevented a premeditated tragedy for another Quinn. While Iolanda was in their home in Los Angeles, she received a long-distance call from Tony in New York City. I have cancer of the throat, he told her. As she listened in horror, she explained that the doctor was in the process of preparing him for surgery. Iolanda refused to accept the diagnosis and begged her husband to wait until she asked the cards if such a terrible thing were true. Tony grew impatient. This was his life, his career. What was an actor without his voice? He would not delay the doctor's presenting him the only chance he had to continue his life's work. Nevertheless, Iolanda spread the cards and saw that Tony did not have cancer. The cards have never lied to her, and according to their revelations, her husband's trouble was only psychological. He definitely did not require an operation. She tried in vain to tell Tony not to permit the operation, but he was completely under the influence of the surgeon. Although she normally was a great fear of flying, Iolanda replaced her airplane panic with a greater terror of Tony needlessly destroying his voice. She boarded the first plane leaving for New York City. When she arrived, she managed to persuade Tony to see an independent X-ray technician to another laboratory. The new test confirmed that the cards had told her the truth. Tony was perfectly healthy. Iolanda has learned that her departed father will come to assist her over the rough spots in life. She always made a point to carry his picture with her, and she placed flowers around it daily. When she calls, he comes to her. Iolanda freely revealed her belief that her beloved father continues to oversee her development and still guards his legacy of one deck of well-worn and frayed playing cards. The next one is called Dick Powell's Preview of the Future. Dick Powell began his career as a band vocalist and instrumentalist. He made his film debut in 1932 in Blessed Event, played a dozen or more choir boy type leads, then, as his baby face became ruggedly handsome, switched to a tough guy private eye roles as in Murder, My Sweet in 1945. It was in 1925, when he was 21 years old and a saxophone player, that Powell received an astonishing preview of his future from a fascinating seer, Cha Mank. Mank, a band leader musician, met with Powell when he was playing at the Fox Theater in St. Louis, Missouri, greeting the young singer-musician with the attention-getting statement that he was even more handsome than Rudolph Valentino. So Powell showed genuine surprise, protesting that he was just a plain old country boy from Mountain View, Arkansas. Hell yeah, we got an Arkansas boy in the house. Woot woot! Oh yeah. I know, Valentino, Shaw insisted. The public is getting tired of the Latin lover types. You're new and different. The fans will go wild over you. Powell managed a sheepish grin. The two men had struck up an instant, easy friendship. When Mank was only 21, actress Ruth Roland had tried to persuade him to sign a movie contract that would be designed to make him the next Wallace Reed, the all-American actor who had died an early, tragic death. Mank refused the tempting offer and made the decision to continue with his Blue Ribbon dance band. In the early 1920s, he had begun a correspondence with Valentino and was assigned the task of organizing the official Valentino fan club. Such an idea was a new concept in 1922, and Mank's bi-monthly Movie Fans News soon became an extremely important factor in molding Valentino's image. Now, Mank found himself receiving a psychic impression about Dick Powell's future. Even as a small boy, Cha, who was part Cherokee Indian, like myself, had given evidence of mediumistic abilities. A medicine woman had told him that an Indian spirit was with him and that whenever Mank faced west, he would receive glimpses of tomorrow. When Powell saw that his friend was serious about his seership, he wanted to know what it was that Mank was seeing in his future. Cha thought a few minutes, then answered quietly, "You will gain much fame as a singer and an actor. I see a 3 in connection with your name, meaning you will have 3 loves, 3 marriages. Your greatest love will be an actress in her own right, and I see that her name begins with a J." Powell was married 3 times. His second wife was actress Joan Blondell. His widow was actress June Allison. As for children, I see but 1 boy and 1 girl. Isn't that the perfect mix? So Mank became cautious over his choice of words. "I do not think that you will be around to enjoy the pinnacle of your success. At the height of your career, ... I suddenly see a large blank." That was an awesome story, wasn't it, Sandra? I loved it. As Cha spoke, Dick's face paled. "I have felt since high school that I would not live long," he whispered. "It's one of the reasons that I have tried to do something with my voice while I could." That's kind of how I feel. Like, not only do I feel like I'm not going to live to a ripe old age, but I don't want to. I want to die young and happy. And, yeah, as soon as you have to wipe my ass, take me out to pasture and shoot me, I don't want to get that old. I want to get old enough where I could still take care of myself, but all of a sudden, blink, maybe I'll have a heart attack or a stroke or something. Like, I would say that would be nice, even though that's not nice, but one of the quicker ways to go. So Cha nodded. money will be no object to you, for as the time of your passing approaches, you will become more spiritual in your orientation. A restlessness is going to overtake you, and a dreadful disease will follow your footsteps. Until that day, though, there will be nothing at which you will fail. I see only golden success for you, and you will bring happiness to many people. When Powell died of cancer in 1963, he had successfully progressed from singer to actor to director to producer to part owner and president of the prosperous 4-star television production company. The two men continued to keep in touch, though twice Mink turned down Powell's offer to become his private secretary. Chaw was always being surprised by short notes and gifts from his friend. When Dick Powell passed on, Mink wondered if he recalled those prophetic words spoken to him when he was but a young man playing the saxophone in St. Louis. Oh my. Frederick Davies star signs. The late Frederick Davies was an English astrologist who became famous on both sides of the Atlantic, working as a personal astrological consultant to many Hollywood celebrities and writing for national newspapers in both Great Britain and in the United States. He was the television host of the popular Frederick Davies Star Power show, and in New York and helmed star signs for BBC television. A mutual friend, British journalist Paul Bannister, who served as Davies' collaborator on several projects, supplied us with the master astrologist's insights into the star patterns of a number of Hollywood luminaries. First we have Miss Debbie Reynolds. April 1st, 1932 at 5:49 p.m. in El Paso, Texas. She's happiest when she's working hard. Like all Aries, Davies says, Debbie Reynolds is happiest when she is working hard. If there is one special asset that has made her a star, it is the capacity for effort. It is her Libra rising that gives her the ageless quality. She still looks facially and physically as she did in Tommy and the Bachelor in 1957. The moon located in Aquarius gives her that wonderful comedy timing and talent for impersonation. Mars, the planet of action, is in the sign of Pisces, which rules the feet, in the 6th house of work, as this is the key of Debbie's dance performances, in which energy and precision are fascinatingly combined. Candice Bergen oh my god, what show is that? So, May 9th, 1946, at 9:52 p.m. in Los Angeles, California, she could one day run for political office. So Candice Bergen, according to Davies, is a brilliant combination of Venus, Mercury, Taurus influence of her birth, but she also has the added talents of her ascending Sagittarius. Oh yeah. Which took her into the world of photojournalism. Her moon in Virgo gives her the added talent of the writer. Candace's part of fortune is located in the 3rd house of writing and communication, and there is where her great fortune will come. The sun highlights her 5th house of show business and love, but it was her ambivalent Saturn in the 7th house of marriage that delayed her union with director Louis Malle, a critical but emotionally balancing Scorpio who she wedded in 1980. The astrologist insisted that Jupiter, the planet of greater good fortune, high in Bergen's chart in the 10th house of career and fame, destined her to have success in any area she chose. Jupiter, well placed in her 10th house, ruling the government, could indicate that Candace would be asked to represent the United States in some official capacity, and there is always the chance that she will run for office. Share. Do you believe in life after love? Yeah, that was terrible. So May 20th, 1946 at 7:31 a.m. in El Centro, California. Her greatest lessons must be learned in the house of self-undoing. Davies reminds us that Sonny and Cher first arrive on the professional scene as Caesar and Clio, reflecting not only Cher's exotic looks, but her fascination with Egypt. Cher's Saturn is in Cancer, directly in opposition to her moon in the house of marriage. Saturn represents all the men in Cher's life and indicates the separation from the loss of the ones that should have been meant to be much to her. Mercury, the planet of communications, is next to her sun, thus enabling her to write, speak, sing, and express herself with such candor that fans and detractors alike cannot help admiring her. She may appear flippant and unreliable at times, as she has Venus in Gemini, flirtatious tendencies, Uranus in Gemini, expected verbal reactions to situations, and the North Node also in Gemini, showing where her lessons must be learned in this life, all in the 12th house of self-undoing. Guess what? Next we have Mr. Sylvester Stallone. So he was born July 6, 1946 at 7:20 p.m. in New York, New York. He has transformed violence and terror into visions of beauty. Frederick Davies admonished the Italian stallion to thank his lucky stars that his mother was an astrologer who advised him that he would make it as a writer and actor if only he would hang in there. Impressed by the Cancerian determination exhibited in Sylvester Stallone's films characters of Rocky and Rambo, Davies remarked that both the actor and his cinematic alter egos are like his sign symbols, the crab hanging on to its objectives. True to his Cancerian tendencies, Stallone's films have most often been about the downtrodden and underdog. I love the underdog, really I do. The Rambo pictures reflect the governmental and foreign affairs aspects of the sign. Because he has Taurus in the 5th house of children, Stallone consulted his astrological charts to be certain that the time of conception would bring him a Taurus child. His son, Sage Moonblood, was born a Taurine in 1976. He has one other son, Sergio. Stallone's ascendant, the Sagittarius the Archer, aims the arrow at the enemy, prey, or target ahead. With Libra in his midheaven, he is an artist. He has transformed violence and terror into visions of great beauty. Dustin Hoffman. Oh my. So Dustin Hoffman was born August 8, 1937 at 5:57 p.m. in Los Angeles, California. He could only assume a perfectionistic approach to acting. A Leo with Aquarius ascending and his moon in the sign of Virgo, Dustin Hoffman could only assume a perfectionistic approach to acting. Davis stated that Hoffman's part of Fortune in Pisces is his first house. He received the personality that would attract the right sort of success. Venus, the planet that rules music, drama, and the fine arts, is in his 5th house of show business. The 5th house also represents children. Dustin has 2 children by his first wife, dancer and actress Anne Brine, and 3 by his second wife, lawyer Lisa Gottsagen. With the sun in his 7th house of partners, marriage is very important to him. Because of this, it was also a natural choice for Dustin to team up with fellow Leo Robert Redford in All the President's Men. Next, we come to Robert Redford. So August 18th, 1937 at 8 a.m. in Santa Monica, California. Frank and outspoken for causes in which he believes. So Robert Redford is a fascinating mixture of his sun sign Leo and his hardworking ascendant Virgo. These, plus the effect of his moon in Capricorn, give him those wonderful photogenic lines and a grim determination to stick things out, Davies said. Redford's star pattern makes him basically very honest and frank and often outspoken when it comes to causes in which he believes. Though he is forceful and can lose his temper, he is easily appeased and very forgiving. He rarely holds a grudge. He is happiest when making others happy, as actor, director, husband, or friend. His Virgo ascendant makes him a perfectionist in everything he does and gives him an innate sense of what is right for every occasion, as does the good taste bestowed by Leo-Virgo combination. Goldie Hawn, baby, baby. Yeah, yeah. So she was born November 21st, 1945 at 8:45 a.m. in Washington, D.C., transformed from a ditzy blonde into one of the most powerful women in Hollywood. While Goldie Hawn's moon in Gemini has been a major influence in her life, for it brings her humor and her good-natured approach to life, it has also a strong effect on romance and marriage. Uranus, the planet of talents, also in Gemini, allowed her to take her unique comedic style to television. Sagittarius, her ascendant, has permitted the once doll-like and ditzy comedian to become one of the most powerful women in Hollywood. The planet of good fortune, Jupiter, is in her 10th house of career, fame, and honors, located close to Neptune, the creative planet in the sign of Libra, the sign of those who always look young. Until you buck your face off with plastic surgery. It's terrible. Miss Liz Taylor. Oh my. So Elizabeth Taylor was born February 27th, 1932 at 7:56 p.m. in London, England. A true romantic martyr ruled by Venus. So Davies characterized Elizabeth Taylor as a true romantic martyr suffering through one big love affair or marriage after another, devoting herself both to her current mate and his career at the same time that she labors at her own glittering occupation. The astrologist declared that it is the sign of Libra rising in her chart that gave Elizabeth her beauty. Traditionally ruled by the planet Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, this Libran influence blesses people with a youthful appearance. Unfortunately, the planet of love is conjunct with Uranus, planet of unexpected happiness and changes, within 1 degree of each other, thereby creating many sudden changes, losses, and separations from loved ones. It should hardly be surprising to learn that most of the activity in Elizabeth's chart centers around show business, as well as love affairs and speculation. Jupiter, Davies asserted, helped her to attain many of her life's personal desires, dreams, and wishes, thus protecting her from some whose thoughts and ambitions may not be as pure and well-defined as hers. So this next one, which I'm pretty sure will be the last one we do, a pinch of salt tossed over the left shoulder can't hurt. And I was always confused on that. Is it the right or left? But yes, I've learned it's the left. So everyone has a pet method of wooing Lady Luck. Some people call them good luck charms. Others prefer to say that they employ their personal omens. The unsympathetic term them superstitious. More experts on such matters agree that no matter how mature we may think we are, we all have a few superstitions, private little rituals in which we engage to make things go our way. As we might suppose, the folks in Hollywood who are subject to the peculiar stresses of show business are certainly no exceptions. First, we have Lena Horne, the beautiful ageless singer-actress, says that a hat on the bed means death. Second, Karen Black is never without a good luck scarab. Third, Jerry Lewis never used to go on stage without pictures of all his family in his pocket. Fourth, if you should whisper in Mitzi Gaynor's dressing room, she will make you walk out, turn around, spit, and swear before you go and recenter. Fifth, Dick Cavett must touch every 8th parking meter as he walks down the street. Sounds like OCD to me. 6. In order to avoid becoming a dumb blonde, Charlene Tilton only trims her hair behind drawn shades before the full moon. Number 7. Although Ohio is not her home state, Crystal Gale always carries a Buckeye charm with her. Well then. On Academy Award nights, someone will always admonish the nominees to be certain that they show enthusiasm at all times. Louise Rayner won 2 successive Oscars from The Great Ziegfeld and The Good Earth, then watched her career disintegrate into nothingness. Those who know their omens say that it was because she was so enthusiastic when she accepted the coveted statue. That damn statue ruined the whole thing. Well, let me put this book away, move my cards aside, and get to my outro ready. Well, it was a wonderful night hanging out with you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad you enjoyed the seamstress story, Sandra. It did really make me think of you, as why I did mention you. But yes, it was awesome reading from Hollywood and the Supernatural by Sherry Hansen-Steiger and Mr. Brad Steiger. Still not sure if they're husband and wife or if perhaps they are brother and sister. It's really hard to say. But I can't wait to read it again. It might be next weekend, unless I get some things booked because, I don't know, I've been really dropping the ball with this whole COVID shit going on and trying to keep the house afloat, etc., etc. So I do apologize, but I do guarantee that next week is going to be awesome and epic, as it, for me, it always is. I always love it. But thank you so much, once again, you guys, for joining me on Late Night in the Rockies. It was a pleasure having you. And I want to thank all of our friends on We Are Paradox Media's KPNL Radio, Facebook, Twitter, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight. I had a wonderful time this evening, and I can't wait to do it again next weekend when it's going to be a surprise, even unto me, because I myself don't even know what's going to happen next weekend. But like I said, rest assured, it's going to be a wonderful weekend. You guys, don't forget, we are all in this together. Together, we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there really is no us. There is no We Are Paradox Media, because otherwise I'm just talking to myself. If you'd like to join us on the Skype after party, look me up or send me a contact request at live:@tessa.n.thomas30 or give us a jingle at 970-335-9596. I'd like to thank our sponsors. We have our musical sponsor, Mr. Roy Washington. And we have our financial sponsors and volunteers. We have Mr. Jim Morris of the Scottish Isles. We have Mr. Dale Elson, Mr. Kevin McDougall, and Miss Mia Savage. Thank you guys so much for all your help and all your support. Seriously, it really does help. Until next time, nighty night, love and light. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And you guys, don't work too hard. Take care of my yous. I'll see you back here next weekend. Same time, same place. Bye!